Hi, my name is Gudrun from GE Designs. Welcome to my live quilting chat, Tipsy Tuesday. Hi, everybody. Thank you for being with me here on a Tuesday night. Chilly one in Minnesota. I see it's cooling down in the northern parts of the country. Probably still pretty warm down south, but thank you for being here. If you are new here, you of course can like our Facebook page. Please subscribe to our YouTube channel. We have all of those options for you so you never miss an episode. I just saw somebody commenting that they were accidentally watching some YouTube videos and the notification popped up that we were live. So it will pop right up and you won't miss a thing. Now, make sure you tell us your name and where you're tuning in from, whether you're on Facebook or YouTube. On tonight's show, we will be continuing with our topic of matchmaking. That is matching your fabrics with your patterns. And in this episode, we're going to dive a little bit deeper into the category of scrappy with background. So, of course, I will always try and answer your questions live. This show is going to be just jam-packed with stuff. So I don't know if we can fit in a lot of questions, but throw them out there. We never know if we can tackle them if we catch them coming through. So just write them in the comments and we will try and get to them. Of course, we love it if you would share the video, use those thumbs up and hearts. If you are on a mobile device, it's really great and it kind of spreads the word about our show. And of course, if you know quilting friends, you can always share it in groups on your page and help us get more viewers. So let's check in. I see a lot of people have been checking in already. Now, of course, you want to stay till the end of the show. We always have a giveaway. We have 2 winners every show. $25 gift cards are up for grabs, and 2 of them. One, we always pick a live winner. So that is just based of a random generator from your comments. So the more you comment or ask questions, the more chances to win. And then we also have a giveaway question at the end of the show where we will pick a winner from our answers during our next show next week. So even if you're not watching live, you always have a chance to win. So last week, we had a giveaway in the end. And the question I asked was, what would be your ideal birthday meal? And I wanted who you're going to have it with, what you're going to be eating and drinking, because we were celebrating Mr. Honey Producer. He's by my side. We were celebrating his birthday last week. We finished the whole week celebrating, of course. So now we're in a new week, so it's not his birthday anymore. Sorry, honey. Not anymore. But the winner from last show is Julie Faulkner. And her dream birthday dinner would be roast chicken dinner with blackcurrant cheesecake, usually with friends. That sounds lovely. There actually is a little bit of a cheesecake in our fridge still. That was a birthday gift that he got from our favorite Cheesecake Funk.
Oh,
Whoop whoop.
delicious.
The
Delicious.
best. Is it Turtle? Yeah, it's Turtle.
Yeah.
Cheesecake Funk is a friend that just has her own company, total entrepreneur, left her law office job to start the company, and she makes the best cheesecakes ever. Anyways, let's move in. I want to check in a little bit about our Fast and Furious Club that went live on September 20th. I've been seeing some fabulous runners, the off-kilter runners. If you missed our Friday show, I did a little bit of a slideshow of all the runners, and more are coming. So I think we are going to have another slideshow on Friday with some more off-kilter runners. Some people are doing variations, some people are adding quilting, and I think it's all fabulous. And so I get so excited when you take inspiration from my patterns and take it in another direction or a totally different take on it. So love that. So thank you all for that. And other than that, if we don't have any questions right off the bat, I think we need to dive into our topic because there's lots to talk about. This category that we're going to talk about tonight is so vast, and I could show you quilts for 3 hours, but I had to really kind of narrow it down. But so we may have to have a follow-up episode of this category. But just for fun, let's bring in our topic. Let's do some matchmaking. Make G easy. So this is, of course, the 4th installment of the Matchmaking Series. And just to remind you of the 4 categories, these are the categories that I've kind of broken my patterns down, my Scrappy patterns down to. So the first one we tackled Scrappy goodness and all of what it entails and how to get a balanced Scrappy quilt. In the second episode, we talked about quilts Scrappy with focus. Those are the same kind of Scrappy quilts, but there's one focus fabric, one color that stands out and makes everything shine. And then last week, we talked about Scrappy with contrast and how you can create contrast with different colors, with different values, different textures. And then, of course, tonight we are going to talk about Scrappy with background, how the negative space created with a singular background fabric makes all the other fabrics shine and the pattern stand out. So as we go deeper into this section, Scrappy with contrast, so a lot of the quilts and the patterns that we talked about last week, so the Scrappy with contrast, we're talking about Scrappy with background, but Scrappy with contrast, all of those quilts could easily come into this category because you can always create that contrast in all of those patterns by using a singular background. So one fabric that carries throughout all of the blocks along with the Scrappy fabrics. But of course, like I said, I have so many patterns for this category that, of course, we're not going to even focus on those. But just know there are options if you don't like any of the ones that I show you tonight, and possibly 2 or 3 more follow-up shows. But at the same time, many of the same quilts that are in this category that we're going to talk about tonight, many of those patterns can also go into Scrappy with contrast. So you can always make the background Scrappy. What is a one singular fabric in a pattern, you can always mix it up and chop it up and mix in more than one fabric just to give it more layers, give it more movement. So if you ever feel that you're looking at a pattern and just think, oh, there's just too much of this one fabric, believe me, I think about that all the time, being a scrap lover that I am. So you can always just mix it up. Throw in, instead of using one background, throw in like 5, 6 different ones that are kind of similar in value and mix them all in. And that will just give that really nice texture of the Scrappy quilt, kind of break it up. Just know, there's no rules. We can move patterns between the categories as we want. So what a constant background does, it does add calmness. It gives us some air between the other fabrics and sometimes a place to make them all kind of come together, a place for the eye to rest. So no matter how scrappy they are. So if you're not really a scrap lover but would like to kind of venture out and be a little bit more brave, this is the perfect category. Kind of trying a little bit of scrappiness. This is the perfect category for you to try the patterns in this category. So pick a favorite background fabric or choose some fabrics that you think will work together and try one of the patterns that have a background. So it's a great one to start with. So I'm going to be giving you some examples of how I choose my backgrounds. I always start with the fabrics I'll be using for the scrappy parts. So how I pick those, of course, you can refer back to Scrappy Goodness, how we want to create that balance and a balance of color, balance of value, and all of those things. So then I pick my background. So I have all my fabrics out that are going to be the scrappy part, and then I go for the background. So a background can do two things. So it can be a really blank canvas for all your other fabrics to shine. So something like falling back in the background and just being really quiet. Just really sit back, make everybody else shine. Do you know people like that? Yes, there are people like that. But what also it can do is be a really perfect complement to the other fabrics. So really bring them out and enhance them, kind of make them stand out. So that's kind of something and you can do both. Of course, you really kind of want it to do both. Sometimes all you want is just a really light, flat background to not have it do anything. But sometimes it's really cool to kind of experiment with some other things that might really kind of bring out something in your fabric. So we're going to try that. I'm going to show you some examples and talk about, of course, look at a lot of quilts. So let's start by looking at some of my quilts that have a pretty quiet background, and the reason why I chose that. So we'll start with my bob and weave, which is a strip quilt. So many of my 2.5-inch strip quilts will have a pretty quiet background, and that is mainly because when we're working with strips, they're also smaller than, for example, 10-inch squares. So they're smaller, and so sometimes you just need a lot of quietness to deal with a lot of smaller, scrappy pieces. But bob and weave was one that I wanted to really make the pattern stand out. Those kind of zigzags going opposite directions, bobbing and weaving in between each other. I wanted that to really show off. So for the fabrics that I used, just a white fallback background seemed to be just the perfect fit. It was a really modern feel to that pattern. And so I felt like that was really the great background for this particular quilt. And of course, then there's amazing quilting on my version of this quilt that was created by Angela Walters, and she just went to town in those white areas. So that was really, really cool. So the next one we're going to look at is another strip quilt. This is Strip Stacks. So this one, again, is a lot of colors, a lot of smaller strip pieces. So to really make the blocks stand out, that background needed to be kind of calm for these types of colors. I'm going to show you another version of this quilt later where it looks totally different. And you've probably seen versions of this one many, many times. Dark backgrounds, light backgrounds, all kinds of backgrounds. But in this particular one, with all of these colors in the blocks, that one was the perfect one to kind of just fall back and be quiet. The next one is Frequency. Now, Frequency is a really kind of a modern pattern, and the cool thing about it is the offset of the strips, how they kind of zigzag like a little graph of frequency sound waves. So you really want to see kind of how they shift. So a contrast, an extra hard contrast, was what I wanted with this one. And with it being all of these kind of really bright colors in all of these different colors, that's why I thought a white background would just be the perfect choice for this one. But again, we are going to see some other options on this one. Next up is Gloria. Gloria, I made her with ombre fabrics. So the blocks kind of have that dark in the middle and then lighter out to the edges. And because of that, I wanted that lighter out on the edges not to be lost. So I wanted that background to really fall back and really let those big globes, those disco balls, to kind of show every single little piece. As you can see, the high contrast with the white really makes it look great. Then we have Alberta. Again, Alberta, I used a layer cake for this one. So which was, this in particular one was a Christmas one. So it had quite a bit of colors in it. Lots of different colors, also lots of different values. So from the darkest values to kind of the lighter values, as you can see. And so I really wanted to be able to see that hard work of the little wings coming together and all the points. So I went with a very light background. Also makes the quilt very festive that way, being that it is Christmas fabrics, even though you can't really tell from afar like this. But it really makes it kind of shine with that red and green and then the white background. And then finally, I want to talk about Lexi. So Lexi, actually, I'm kind of cheating on putting this one in here because I did not use a single background. I know it looks like it, but I used a few different backgrounds, but they were all very similar. All of them were the same value, kind of the same hue, so they will appear from a distance to be the same fabric. And that is the key with this pattern, because as you see from afar, your eye starts going in circles. You start seeing circles out of these just very straight lines. And that's what's cool about it. So to be able to create that kind of optical illusion, you have to have that background be constant and be quiet. So that's why I chose this one for this category, just because it really is fun to play with that. But up close, you will actually see that there is more than one fabric. I don't remember how many I used. I believe at least 6. But they are all kind of the same type of off-white with some pattern in them, with a little bit of color, but very thin lines of color. So those are kind of the ones that I wanted to start talking about because of the quiet background. So talking about how to choose backgrounds. So some of my favorite background choices are always going to be a tone-on-tone fabric. I like a little bit of a texture or a little bit of a pattern when I'm using scrappy fabrics, because I always feel like that really helps marry the two. Very few times I will use a solid, it will always usually be a solid white if I want it to completely be a background and fall back. But I like a little bit of texture when I'm using a whole bunch of scrappiness, because it just kind of marries them better and kind of helps blend. So some of my background fabrics for a quieter background are in a range of, I always try and keep in my collection, aka my stash, a variety of different textures, a different small prints, a different geometric that are just tone on tones, kind of quiet, and could work with so many different things. So just to give you an idea of some of my favorites, I just went to my shelf. Honestly, this is truly in my stash. So I went to my shelf and pulled out some things that I have either used or use all the time over and over. So just to show you the different textures that I look for. So when I find something cool and new I haven't seen before in a store, I usually buy 5 yards. Yes, 5 yards is my minimum, because sometimes things don't come back. So here's an example, just a little mottled background. This is a color, but still I like that there's dark spots, there's light spots, and then there's just a little bit of that white or lighter speckled. This is another favorite, just a texture. It does have, I don't know if you can see it up close, but has like lighter, kind of almost like distressed denim. This color, I love this color because it's a dark navy, it's not black, and it really blends in well. It's a Moda, so I've always wanted this one. Of course, grunge, another favorite, favorite for many, like, because you have the distressed texture and then you have some lighter spots, and many of the grungers actually have a second or third or fourth color in them as well. So you can really kind of choose what works well with your fabrics. We have another texture here is the grunge dot. I don't know if you can see this. Yeah, so it has the grunge dots have the grunge texture, but then a little bit of a polka dot that, especially with this light one, it really falls in the background. So you don't really see it until you're up close. I love textures like this, which is kind of a light texture with just a little bit of gray, but very irregular. I like irregular. If it's too regular, sometimes that's all you see. These are the Spectrastatics from Juicy Juice for Andover. Love these. They are, again, irregular. This is kind of a charcoal gray with a light white, not totally white, but off-white speckles. And then this is a white with, I think this is the dust color. So it has kind of a taupe kind of speckles on it. These are older ones that I found in my stash that I have used a lot. I think they're both by Adorn It. And then Bumbleberries, love the Bumbleberries because we have hues of all the different tones of the same color in it. This one is Dimples. I love a texture. It's semi-regular and semi-irregular. I don't know if you can see this. It's hard to see the light textures, so or the light colors. Then we have, this one is wound up. Unfortunately, I think they are discontinuing this one, but I like it because it has this swoops and swirls. So Nothing directional, so when you cut it up small, you can still see a lot of movement. Another kind of a texture, crisscross texture, but again, irregular, some bigger, some smaller. And then this one I really love too by Dear Stella. It's called Moonscape, I believe. No, that's not Moonscape. This is Dash Flow. Dash Flow. So if you can see the texture, actually the quilt behind me has this as the background, but I love just the texture because it has movement in it. I've used it in a couple of different colors. Spotted by Moda is great by Zen Chic. I love all the different colors. This is the background I use for my Harmony quilt, but I love that it has parts of it that are lighter and then darker and then lighter, irregular, and all that. And then this last one I have here, this is Speckled by Ruby Star. And so I love the background is kind of a solid, but it has specks of gray, dark, and then metallic as well. Who doesn't love a little sparkle? So that's one of my favorites. Another new favorite is a new one from Andover. We just got it in stock. May have seen it. I'm going to show you. Okay, I'm going to show you a quilt that I just made. That last one for my new book. But I made it with a bunch of scrappy strips. So this is the navy one, or the indigo, I think. So it's just gold in it. So it just kind of irregular spatters of gold, hearts, stars, and pluses. So these are just some examples of my favorites. And we're going to move on. I'm going to show you some more quilts. I know there's a lot. There's a lot. This was just like a little part on my shelf. I love having variety. But some patterns are kind of background heavy, I call them. So bigger areas of background. And so sometimes you might want to add something other than a total tone on tone and just a texture. Sometimes the texture will be kind of boring. So when you have bigger areas, there's always that opportunity to add in a little bit more geometric, a little bit louder background, maybe a background with two other colors in it. So let's check out these next ones. I got a cough. Let's put up the Harmony quilt first. Okay, there it is. So this is my Harmony quilt. Harmony, this version I made with a Tula Pink. I don't know if you can see it up close, but it's got kind of a rainbow, birds, and in all kinds of colors. So it was kind of fun because Harmony has a lot of background, has some bigger area, so it was very interesting, especially with using the strips that don't have a lot of different colors in each one. They're all kind of just tone-on-tone strips. So then it was perfect to have kind of a louder background. Moving into one of my favorite quilts, Strip Plus. It's a favorite because I made it for my son. And the background is kind of busier than I would normally do because it has a gray and then it has all these math formulas and stuff because he was a math major and engineer. And so I really wanted to use it. So what I did instead is kind of tone down the multiple colors in the strips. So I just kind of did a very controlled colorway in the strips so that that background could really still not be make it too busy. But I loved that one. And then we have Ava. Oh, no, this is Nellie. Sorry. Nellie, you can't really tell in the photo, but I used a light gray with a whitish kind of pattern, geometric pattern on it. And so because of that white open spaces, I felt like it was cool to kind of throw that in there to give it a little more life. And so a great option for using those types of pattern or fabrics. And then we have Gina. Gina has a lot of background and then some bigger spaces for the patterns. Now you might notice this one doesn't fit in the category of being a busy background. It is not, because all of the fabrics, the scrappy fabrics I used, they were multiple different colors, as you can see, and multiple different values. So I had to really kind of dive deep and figure out what background was going to make every single fabric stand out, because that's what this pattern is all about. To see the secondary pattern, you have to see every single piece of fabric. So this one was just a texture, but I kind of spruced it up with a colorful binding. But I just wanted to show you this pattern because this is a perfect option of using a little busier background if your other fabrics are kind of more monochromatic or kind of more color controlled. So that is a great option for that. So speaking of tying together, and so these kind of like tie together and add some more fun. So I wanted to show you some options because this particular Gina quilt kind of ties all of those colors together. You want to find a background that really makes them all shine and then has some common ground. So I just pulled out this sample for you. I want to start with this charm pack of Kaffe fabrics. So these are Kaffe facets, one of the charm packs. It's an older one, but it's been sitting around in my collection. So I thought, what a perfect one to play with today. Because I have a lot of people always ask me how to work with these fabrics. So of course you can just throw them all together. We've talked about this before. But to pick a background to go with this, you have some options. So of course the easiest way to make everybody stand out would be to go with something white, right? Something very light that is going to make everything stand out because every single fabric is full of color. There's no white anywhere. So this would of course make a really sharp contrast and make everything stand out. Another option would of course to go black or really dark. So this would make everything stand out very nicely. Some of them have a little speck of black, so they would actually blend in. But if I were to do, with this fun stuff, with these fun fabrics, and because it is kind of more controlled, if I wanted to use black, I would probably go with something more fun like this. A little more texture, a little more fun. So this is a holiday treats. This is a dimples, because I know you always ask these questions. And this is a canvas whitewash. Is a white on white, but it has a texture to it. Okay, so I decided that's not where I would go with this. I would probably go with some kind of a fun colored background that really does something for them, brings out something. So I started playing with colors. So we're going to leave these on the side. It'd be fun to see what you would choose. This is the easy part. Easy to choose any of those, right? But I started looking at the colors. What are some of the dominant color obviously is blue and purple. But some of the other colors in here, you see some green. And a lot of them are kind of that mint green. So I thought, wait, what about something like this? This is actually pretty cool. So this is a Spectrostatic Winter Mint. And it would really bring out a lot of those, right? But do I want this as a full background? I'm not sure. So I'm going to leave it as an option, right? And then I found this one, pink with a little purple in it, because there's a lot of pink everywhere. And so this would also make a really, really fun quilt. And, something, it will be very pink, of course, depending on how much background is there, but a great option. A third one would be to go with a purple. Well, there's a lot of purple in here, so you would have to find a hue that would still blend well, and yet all the fabrics would still stand out from it. This one is the spotted, and it's the iris color. This one is Redux Cosmos, and Spectrostatic Winter Mint. So these would all be good. They really bring out some of the colors in here. And yet, one thing I would be a little concerned with, and which is why I probably would eliminate this one, is because there's a lot of that same hue. So I feel like some of these fabrics, like this one, would completely get lost, right? So I'm going to eliminate this one, but I'm going to leave it here. And then this one again, there's a lot of pink. So some of these very pink ones might get too muddled. So I'm going to put that over here. And then again, same thing with this. There is a lot of that mint. However, there's one color that is just specks of that I would love to pull out. And that is kind of a more burgundy. So look how the burgundy looks great with all of those, because it's a really kind of a deep tone of red, and then it has a lot of blue in it. So it really melds well with all the purples. And look at that, perfect with the dots. The only one that would really kind of be a tough one would be this one. But with the lavender polka dots, you can still see it very well. And this is actually a texture. It's a peppered cotton, the garnet color. And so that one would be great because it has a little bit of texture, a little bit of an earthy feel to it. However, I would kind of, with a cave quilt, I would want to have more fun. So my perfect choice for this one is actually speckled. Speckled wine time. So it's got that wine color, look, and fun metallic specks in it. Little light, and then the metallic specks. So this would probably where I would go with that. How fun, right? So it would be fun to see what would be your choice with all of these. Maybe this would not be your choice at all to go this wild with a quilt. But for you, if that is the case, let's look at something more traditional, totally calmer. I actually pulled out this other charm pack because I really want to make something with it because I think it's so cute. We also have it in layer cakes. This is, oh, now I don't remember what the name of the line is. Of course, when I'm supposed to remember something, I don't. This is by Bunny Hill, and it's called Acorn something. I don't remember. Anyways, so it's a fall line. Sounds about right to you? Actually, there are layer cakes right on that shelf. You want to go get it? It's the ones that are kind of sideways. Yes. So, Mr. Honey Producer is sometimes the runaround boy. But anyway, so very controlled colorways, just these really nice off-white and soft kind of pumpkin colors, oranges, but not dark, taupes, and then these light browns. Yes, this one. It's called Squirrely Girl. I should have known that with all the squirrels. Squirrely Girl. All right, so what would be my background here? Now, easiest, of course, you could go light, but I really want to use these. I want to use these, so I don't want my background to be light. So I started thinking, okay, what if I bring in a color that is not in here? What would that be? And so I started thinking, what is another fall color that always looks great with all the other fall colors? So maybe some purple. Maybe, but it would have to be kind of a light purple, a soft one, because the values of these are all kind of lower. They're kind of a dusty version, so you don't want anything bright. So I found this would be a great option. It's the Scallop Dot Eggplant. That would be great. And if I wanted to bring in a color. Another color would be, of course, green. But again, you wanted it to be a softer green. So not too harsh, not too bright. This is Dash Flow in the Sage. So I think this would be another great option. So then I thought, what if I go a little bit darker on those rusty oranges? And so I couldn't really find the hue that I really would want to. I found this. This is the Bumbleberry's Fox Red. So it has the dark spots. So it would still create contrast, but I feel like it would be kind of not enough contrast for me. So 3 great options, especially these two, I think, if you wanted to add some color. Well, what if I didn't really want to add color? I like the feel, what this is kind of telling me. So then I would try and find something that may be a darkest value of either of the fabrics in here. So maybe possibly I could go with a darker brown. So if a dark brown, almost a chocolate, you could still see all of those. This one is the Dimples Cafe. And kind of not thinking that this is dark enough. So then I thought, okay, what about just a Grunge Espresso? That will really create a contrast. And actually, these would shine really nicely on that. However, you know, grunge, yes, it's great. People can, it can really stand out, but it's a little bit harsh with all those soft colors. And then I found the perfect match. Check this one out. So this is my Country Confetti Weathered Wood. And so it's got a little bit of polka dot, but irregular. And some of those polka dots have, I know it's kind of pink, but it looks like orange, especially when you put it on here. And look at that. Look how well this one marries. It kind of brings out these turn orange just by being next to the orange, and it really marries everything. Also, what I like, because these are really small scale prints, and this is even smaller, so it's still a small scale. It matches the scale and matches the hue, kind of that dusty brown, and still you get enough contrast to really play and really see everything. But it really brings everything together. So what do you think of all these examples? Fun? Well, we're going to show you, I'm going to show you some more quilts. So let's look at some examples of where I chose something that's maybe not the obvious choice in a quilt. So let's start with Millie. Like, Millie is one of my patterns where it's made with 2.5-inch strips. And this cover quilt, I wanted to use all these bright colors. Obviously, I needed, so let's put the black one up first. So you can't really tell by the print, but this black print has a small polka dot. Has a small, kind of a light gray polka dot to it. Irregular, because that's how I roll. I like irregular polka dots. And so this one really has a lot of life when you get close to it. I actually think it's actually silver metallic polka dots, if I remember correctly. But it really was fun. And just to show you in contrast, I made a second quilt with a white background, which was just a white grunge, and really fell back. And I needed to go really light because some of those fabrics had some white in them. But so I had to go really, really white to make each and every one stand out. But just as a difference, how you can have kind of more fun with that. This next one is Ava. Now the one over there on the cover of the pattern, I did use a gray. That one was kind of a tough one to find the right hue because I wanted all these other ones to stand out. And they were all kind of a control colorway. Some of them were super busy. But so I think I ended up with a dash flow on this, the gray dash flow. So lots of movement in that fabric. And you can kind of really see because there's some bigger areas. So it was really great to use something that had some movement to it. And then here's Coral. Talk about what fabric will complement and not fight with your other fabrics. The fabrics I used in this quilt were all very different, I should say. A lot of white in them, a lot of different kind of odd things. And so to find the right tone of gray and the right, something that didn't fight, this was a small irregular white dots on a light gray background, and it just really blends in with everything. It's really truly like it was a part of the same fabric line, or they just belong together. So it was really cool how that one came together. And then Square Dance was another example. Square Dance was all the strips were Tula Pink fabrics, in which I absolutely love. Her colors are so unique that sometimes it's hard to match a background, to find a background that really complements. And this particular selection of strips was kind of particularly challenging. Nothing in the fabric line really, she doesn't really do quiet fabrics. But to find a color that would really make everybody shine was tough. But I finally found this. It was a grunge. But it was not one of their basic grunges, but it was kind of like an in-between color. So it was kind of gray, kind of not, kind of blue, but kind of not. So it was kind of a muddled blue that I don't remember if it's Harbor or whatever color that was, but it was it's sometimes the perfect when a fabric doesn't look that great on its own and then you put it with all the other ones, it is the perfect match sometimes. So don't judge a fabric on a bolt if you see it, because sometimes it just will be the perfect match once it's with other stuff. So whenever you have fabric choices, and when your scrappy choices are more controlled, so I was kind of like that first charm pack that I showed you, all the K fabrics. So when your scrappiness is kind of controlled, so all from the kind of the same color family or a couple color families, maybe it's monochromatic, then you can kind of really be more daring with the background. And I wanted to show you this one option, which actually was using K fabrics with red strips, and this is strip stacks. So let me show you strip stacks in the lipstick, because I used a gray dot, which is white polka dots, and this one was a regular one, not irregular dots. So regular dots, so it's kind of a little bit more I should say harsh on the eye, but it was perfect, because this one needed to be fun, because there was all these other just red and pink strips, and so that then you can really kind of try and have some fun, really, and kind of that quilt really exudes that. So the pattern sometimes, even though we think that maybe the pattern will tell me what kind of fabrics I should use, don't count on that, because I always let the fabrics talk to me. So yes, I do start with the pattern. What it's the pattern? Well, sometimes the fabric inspires the pattern when you're a pattern designer. But of course, if you want to make a pattern, that's where you start. But then you start with your scrappy choices. So I always start with that, and then the background gets chosen. So here is an example of 3 quilts that I made the same pattern, all very different and different choices because of the fabrics that I chose for my scrappy part. And this is my Lucy pattern. So the cover one, the one on the cover, the chartreuse and gray. Obviously, the chartreuse is a very forward color. It's a very bold statement to use chartreuse, but I wanted it to be, it's kind of going from some of the lime greens into some of almost gold, and then everything in between, all the chartreuse wonderful fabrics in between. So I wanted them to be just scrappy, all from the same kind of a color range or color family. So the background I chose for that one was a peppered cotton, so just a texture. I wanted it to really fall back because I wanted to make a statement with the chartreuse, and it really wanted that pattern to stand out, so you can kind of really see the pattern. My second one, I used a layer cake, and it was a multicolored layer cake, so I used a different layout. But this one, because it has so many colors, I wanted just a quiet background. So this one, I used the grunge dot for this one. So still has a subtle pattern to it once you see the quilts up close, because there's kind of a bigger areas of that background. So you want some interest in there, but totally different choices because of that reason. And then the third one, all of the fabrics I chose for my scrappy parts were monochromatic, white, black, and gray. And so I wanted to, of course, bring in some colors. So this fabric is a kind of a different color, kind of like a turquoisey, almost teal, almost sage color. I don't know. It's a greenish turquoise. No, a greenish teal. Whatever name that would be. But I'll show you the fabric up close. But so it's irregular, tone on tone, but with a lot of interest. So that was the base for that quilt, for that version of Lucy. So it doesn't necessarily, you can choose your backgrounds by these two things. So first off, you want to find something, you want to start with your scrappy color. So these 3 things that you put into your selection. So first off would be your scrappy colors, lay them out. What does this call for? Second, what complements, and pick in the color. And then third, what kind of statement do you want your quilt to make? Do you want it to be quiet and subtle and calm? Or do you want it to be wild and loud and fun? So there's always choices, but hopefully with some of these kind of options and some of these explanation, you'll be a little bit more confident in choosing your backgrounds. Now, like I said, there is enough material to make 2 or 3 more episodes and show you more quilts using backgrounds and talk about why I chose this one and not that one, and things like that. But I think we'll leave it at here. But of course, I wanted to give you even more inspiration by showing you some of these same patterns that I showed you throughout this episode, but in totally different fabric choices with quilts from some of you, some of my viewers, some of the members of Gudrun's Quilt Crew on Facebook. So let's check out some more of these quilts. So this one is Ellen's Bob and Weave. Completely different because she used all solids, but look how fun that is. Very fun, but the white background really falls back and is super quiet. And Eileen's different because look at that light blue. You can make the same statement, still be very quiet, but see how that the feel of that blue background makes the quilt kind of feel very different. And then we have Helen's Frequency. Again, remember my white background? Well, this one is not that. So totally different color. And some of the strip pieces, being that they are in the same hue, they kind of like fall in the background and some of them stand out more, which is cool. So if you want to create that, something to think about. And then we have a Gloria, not with a quiet white background. And look at her fabrics, super fun prints, and so still a very quiet background, but a different feel, being that it's dark, so those bright fabrics and lighter fabrics will stand out even more. Perfect choice. And here's on Alberta. Again, no white background there because Jessica used a kind of a rose, dark rose color. And I think this is like a perfect choice for the other fabrics. So look at her other fabrics, very subtle, very light. And so they needed to pop somehow. And what a perfect way to pop it with a color. Then we have Jenny's Alberta, very different. But again, for the squares, there's reds, there's blues, and then these light gray. So instead, she chose a little bit of a colorful background with a bit, kind of almost a beige tone to it, and very effective in this one. And here we have a Nelly with a Scrappy background. Check it out. So there's different hues of that kind of a grayish blue, but it kind of adds a little movement, adds some fun. And then we have a couple of Lexi's. So this is Linda's Lexi. So didn't use a white background because all of her fabrics have a lot of light to it. So that medium gray was like perfect to make everything shine without being too harsh, because she has some black in there too. So that needed to stand out too. So very fun. And then this is Lois's Lexi. Multiple colors, but the constant light background gives you that illusion, and your eyes start seeing circles. And then we have two Ginas, and these two Ginas, I thought these were like a perfect teaching examples. They're both Linda's, and she made them with the same fabrics for the Scrappy part. So check this one out with that kind of a light lavender pinkish background, using the same fabrics as she did in this one with that dark charcoal. And there's a lot of pattern to this background. I don't know if you can see it, but it's really cool. So it really matters. I think they're both excellent choices, just depending on what kind of mood you want to feel. What do you want your quilt to feel like? What do you want to bring out? So very cool. And then here's Jody's. Again, lots of color and lots of different color in those Scrappy fabrics. So perfect choice for the background. Just quiet, just charcoal. and makes everybody shine. And then we have Deb's Lucy quilt. Same feel as my first one, the chartreuse one, except she used the greens and then her background is blue. So very, very cool effect. It's a great two-tone quilt. So that's a great option. And then we have Jane's Square Dance. Again, chose a darker navy, so a darker tone of blue than her darkest blues in the strips, so which makes everything really kind of meld and fall in the background. And then Carolyn made this one, and it's got this really awesome polka dot background because of her colors are kind of soft, a lot of them kind of quiet in the strips, and so I love this fun background. And we have Donna's Ava. How fun is this? So just to pop it with a totally different color, this turquoise is everything, and really shines brightly with those yellows. So cool. And then we have a totally different looking one with Deborah's monochromatic version of Ava, and that black really makes everything shine, and she needed to go really dark black because of the darkness in many of the other strip fabrics. So great choice. That could have also been a red if you wanted it a little more spicy. And here we have Linda's Millie. Very great choice of gray, just that medium feel so it doesn't overpower all the other colors. Great choice. And then a totally different feel with a monochromatic strips and a patterned background. So there's definitely a pattern. So I believe it's like a dark charcoal or black, and then a true pattern to it, but doesn't look busy because all of her strips were in reds. And so then we have Nancy's Coral. Very great choice of background for that. You don't barely see it, all you see is the squares, so that's really cool. And that's kind of sometimes what you want it to be. And then we have Ellen's Coral as well. Another one, choosing gray, but look how different that quilt feels because of the multicolored squares used for that. That's done with 10-inch squares. So just super fun, and I could, like I said, show you stuff all night long. But let's check in. I know you have questions, so let's check in with some questions before we dive into some other stuff. Still reading off kilter directions, so I think I may be off kilter. All right. Well, it is an off kilter year, so we're all a bit off kilter. What pattern is the pink, gray, and black quilt? Oh, this one behind me? This is Ava. And it's not black. It's actually navy. So this is the one I made for the sew along when we did sew along with Ava. Rocky Road is in the back, and that one has the gray background, has a pattern to it, and so does the background, the gray background in the Nelly quilt. It does have a white pattern. There's a gray with a white pattern on it, but it kind of needed that to spice it up a little bit. So I just wanted to give you some examples of different backgrounds. What's the best pattern to use ombre on? Oh, so many. The only one that I've really used it for a whole quilt is Gloria. So if you want to check that one out, that's a great option to use any kind of ombre. But ombre can add kind of, dimension, especially strip quilts. I love it in strip quilts. And then if you cut out the ombre, you can cut it in different places and get kind of a totally different color. So many. Do you have the instructions for Nina's supersized backing for full queen? No, I don't. I just did it for the lap size because that's what I was working on, and it worked really well with the sheep fabric. Could we get Halloween early since the 20th is kind of late to make it and send it to someone? Sorry, all the projects go live on the 20th, all preset, so no exceptions. Can't do it. What's the best pattern to use ombre? Oh, we just did this question. What does it mean when people talk about blenders? How would you use them in a pattern? Some people refer to blenders as basics basic lines, tone on tones. So I think that's probably what they're referring to. So you can always mix, if you have a variety of tone on tones, like some of these basics that I just showed you, you can always mix them in with other prints. Just find a similar hue and they will always mix with all kinds of things. So big majority of my collection is tone on tones or blenders. What is your favorite go-to background out of what you are showing? I don't have a favorite go-to. It changes all the time. I might have a favorite for a while, but as you know, I make a lot of quilts, so I get bored real easily. So I always want to switch it up and try something different. Probably one of my newest favorites that I used actually in 2 quilts is the Spectre Static. I just used this charcoal one, and then I just used the dust one as well, which is kind of a very light background but still has some interest. And I used the black one of this actually in our Strip to Shore quilt along, so that's probably indication that I really like it. How many years to build a decent collection? I'm pedaling as fast as I can. You know, you can speed it up, of course. I think it takes maybe a couple, 3, 4, 5 years to kind of build up variety, because as we know, fabric comes and then it's gone as fast as it comes into stores, and then you never see it again. So it takes a while to build up some variety, but check out every single quilt shop that you drive by, and it will build up. And if you see something you like, don't leave it behind. Take it home. Take it home. Lexi is a single pattern. Yes, Lexi is a single pattern, not in a book. And if you are new to me and how I do things, if it's a single pattern, it is not in a book, and vice versa. So I never double up. So if it's a single pattern, you will definitely know for sure it's not in a book anywhere that is in print. The only times if a pattern is in a book that's discontinued, out of print, discontinued, then I sometimes re-release it as a single pattern. But if it's a standalone single pattern, you for sure can know that it's not in a book anywhere that is in print. Okay, with Gina, could you do a scrappy background with the blocks being one color? Yes, definitely. That would be a wild, fun outcome. Or use a really wild print for the background and then do one color for the other stuff. There's always that. Strip Plus is a single pattern. Yes. Okay, a couple more questions. Love Cave, how is the move coming? Oh, great transition into that one. Yes, we are moving. The move is going well. It's mainly been assembly these past couple of days. These guys, Mr. HP, aka now assembly manager, you would say, assembling all the racks, the shelving, the tables. We got our office furniture today. So just a lot of stuff. There's still some things to the building that we're waiting on the landlord to do, so we can really kind of dive in, but all the prep work is going great. So those of you that don't know, we are moving to a warehouse. Finally, I'm getting my house back, and so the business, we are expanding. And I have to tell you, one of the things, of course, we were just so cramped here, so some of our offerings were limited to the space that we had. And in particular, our 1 yards, how we sell them in the 1 yards, all the basics, all the tone on tones, the basic lines, that I was limited to. I couldn't add more lines because I was limited to the space. So I actually, this is the first thing I will be expanding. I am so excited that I will be expanding our basics, so you'll be able to get lots of variety of those tone on tones, backgrounds, and things like that. So I'm so excited to dive into that and be able to show you more of that. But with the move, of course, comes trying to ease up some space. So we've launched this last Friday. We did a little sale. We have a sale section on our website. So we made a whole bunch of little bundles, some partial bundles that really sold I think most of them sold right away. One of them that I know are still available is the Tahoe Ski Week. This is the fabric that I did one of my tailor quilts out of. So instead of it being a full 12-piece bundle, this is an 11 different fabrics in this one. So there's just a few left of this. You wanted to snatch up some ski fabrics, some winter fabrics. And then I put another one together from all the florals we had. I put together a bundle throwing in a few basics. I call them Flowers and Friends because it's just really fun, playful fabrics if you like florals. A great deal, $59 bundle of 12 of 6 yards. So it's a really good deal. So that is new. And then we did a whole bunch of mystery bundles. If you don't know our mystery bundles, we put them together with, you know, pieces from our previous bundles that have kind of been left over. We kind of try and coordinate them a little bit. So there's all kinds of fun stuff in here. Again, a great price, $55 for 6 yards. But of course, you can't choose what you get, but it's all good stuff. Just to show you some more of these that have been put together. Here's another mystery bundle. And then here's one more. We had some remnant bags too, which we call forget-me-nots, but I believe they are kind of all sold out. But the mystery bundles, if you didn't want 6 yards, we also have mini mystery bundles. So these are just 6 pieces. So 3 yards, 6 different fabrics. Really great, fun options. Here's another. So as you can see, we try and kind of do a little color coordination, but it's good stuff. You get lots of even basics in there. And so these are just, of course, getting low, but we're hoping to get them all out before we have to move them. That will be just great. Just gotta love that. So that is part of our moving sale. We also you may have noticed we've been kind of maybe putting up on the website, you know, singles of all kinds of bundles that have been sold out. You know, it's stuff that we have kind of set aside if there was a return or something. And so we will just randomly put them up. I know some of you have been snatching them up. All of you stripologists out there. So that is on our, like I said, on our website in the sales section. And then we have actually some new stuff. Not real stuff that you can get in person, but our pre-orders have been really, really well received. So we just added a bunch of collections that you can order for pre-order. So how that works, you place your order for the bundle and you pay for it, you pay for the shipping. So then once it comes in, that's the first thing, we will just send it to you right away. So some of the pre-order, I actually have actual fabrics to show you, which is always better than seeing just the screen image. So we have a few that we got kind of sample yardage from Moda. They're so great. And so I wanted to show you these first. So this one is called Flowers for Freya, and it is by Lindsay Cull McCrae, and it's not coming until February. So you got to wait a little bit, but this is what I fell in love with. So they're kind of based off of, I think like feed sack fabrics, but I fell in love with this colorway. I love these flowers and this kind of turquoise and that chartreusey lime green in here. So this is the 2 big flower prints and then some great coordinates. So I kind of stuck with this colorway of the blue, the kind of sage mint green, turquoise, and the chartreuse. So, and there's 12 pieces in this, lots of variety. Here's another, I love this one as well, this floral, just that chartreuse background. It's kind of, you know, takes you back, but I just love that it kind of, you can make it real modern. I love this print in both colorways. And then we have one in the chartreuse. And then, of course, my favorite, if you know me, diagonal plaids. Diagonal plaids in 3 colorways. And we will be actually getting something that I've been wanting to add to the website, is having more 1-yard options for great plaids and great stripes that could be used for like bindings and borders and stuff. So we will be getting some, having some of these in 1-yard cuts as well. But this is the bundle of Flowers for Freya. So cool. I love this colorway. Can't wait to play with this, make something out of it, hopefully, before you guys, we have it in store. Our second one, we have a couple of collections from Ruby Star. This one is called Whatnot by Rashida Coleman Hale. This one is coming in November. So she does a lot of very kind of fun imagery fabrics, and so kind of novelty like. I love this playful fabric. Cats, bananas, there's some random things, a xylophone, and what is this, slingshot umbrellas. So it has this one in 2 colorways, and then this is my favorite print, the boom boxes. Love the boom boxes. We have them in 3 colors, and toothbrushes. And they're really soft, kind of play on a pastel, but just kind of these dusty colors, not really pastel. And a little bit brighter chartreuse. We have 3 sets of toothbrushes, and then this kind of very retro print with a little specks of gold, but they all coordinate really, really nicely. There's one print in here that is a stripe that I don't have. It's kind of like a irregular stripe with metallic in it too. So this is Whatnot by Rashida Coleman Hale, 12 SKUs. So the turquoise stripe with a metallic gold is missing, but so cool. And then the third one is called Florida by Sarah Watts, and I got to start with this print because it's my favorite. So pretty. So very bold with metallic gold in it. And I love these birds kind of carrying those big moons. So these are like almost like peaches or something. Or maybe they're oranges, maybe. And then this fun print. Beautiful, beautiful kind of tropical, but not those typical tropical colors. And that's kind of what I love. Tropical leaves, but not typical tropical colors. And we have manatees. Oh, just love these on the gray. And then we have into these greens. And then we have pops of pink coming in too. So I chose these very kind of controlled colorways, of course. That's so me with that pink. And I love this orangey red, popping everything off. The leaves again. And then we have the birds in that pink, in that red with the pink. And I forgot this one belongs in the black category, but this one with a metallic gold. So I think this is just so gorgeous, so different. But I love how these colors kind of play together in a very suspected way. So very, very kind of surprising. And then another favorite line from Moda is called Dwell in Possibility by Gingerbread, also with a little bit of metallic. So that is hot these days. A little bit of metallic gold in here. So I chose also a very controlled colorway for this one. These are some of my favorites, and we will have those in some extra yardage as well. Just love both of these prints because it has all the colors in it. And then going into the coordinates, this is probably one of my favorites. Just a really cool color, just different. And a little bit of a text print here. And then we have more of that peach color that really ties in with these guys. I love this, just a light fabric with a metallic gold, and then the same kind of a mustard gold. Love these basics. Look at this. This has my name all over it. Irregular with sparks of gold. Just love it. And 2 more coordinates. And the black. So this is Dwell in Possibility. This will be a bundle and up for pre-order. This is not coming till February. Florida is coming in November. So it's all on the website under pre-orders. And like I said, we will have some of these as 1 yards, as coordinates, so you could get like backgrounds and things like that. And then we have 10 more pre-orders that I don't have fabric for, but let's just look at them real quick. I know we're getting kind of to a long show, but this is, what is the name of this line? I can't read it. It's honey something? No? It's bee something. It's a bee print. I just used this fabric for a quilt. Be Grateful. That's what it is. Be Grateful. It's beautiful. Depth Strain by Moda. Gorgeous. I picked great fabrics, great variety, and I already made a quilt out of it. That will be in the new book. Then we have Bunny Hop by Lewis and Irene. 15-piece collection. Very spring, very Easter friendly. Love that. Really playful. I love the jumping around dancing hares or bunnies. So cute. And then we have Cider by Basic Gray. And if you're wondering when these things will ship, it's all in the listing on the website. It will tell you the estimated or anticipated ship month. But I love this color, different colors always. Basic Gray, I love, one of my favorite designers. We have Coffee Shop by Windham Fabrics. Super fun. Croissants and coffee mugs. Yes, those of you coffee lovers. I believe there will be a panel with that too. I don't remember. Little Forester is by Art Gallery. We're getting in some Art Gallery fabrics. Just always beautiful and very, kind of like different colors. Not predictable, unpredictable colors, I should say. And then this line is super fun. It's called London by Windham. And it is, or by Whistler Studios, I believe. And it's all these London fabrics. Look at that diagonal plaids. Yep, we will have that in 1 yards and some more yardage to go with that. But if you love London, this is a fun line. Another fun one called Man Cave with all the little toys. Not necessarily just for men. I love playing cards. I love playing pool. And I will play darts. I'm not very good at it, but I will. Anything competition, I will do. As whenever we go on vacation, it's a competition city every day. This one is called Midnight Hydrangea. This is for Studio E by Laura Stone. Beautiful big dragonflies and beautiful florals. And only an 8-piece collection. So this is Perfect Petals by Lewis and Irene. Little kitties. I just love how fun these cats are, but it's not so screaming cat fabric. So these are 15 different prints for all the cat lovers. And last but not least, we have The Blues by Moda. This is actually by Janet Clare. And so I chose some of the blues and coordinates in there. Just great monochromatic bundle. I actually made a quilt out of this too. That will be in the new book. And so you have to wait and see what that looks like. But some fun stuff anticipating. I can't wait for these fabrics to come in. We have to wait longer for some of them. But I just have a feeling some of them will be popular. So we wanted to put them up for pre-order to make sure that we get enough. So those are all the pre-orders. And everything I kind of wanted to talk about. We're like way over time. It's a long one today. But do we have a winner? Those of you who have stayed with us, thank you all for hanging with us this Tuesday night. Oh, our winner is Kim Passat. I hope I pronounced that correctly, Kim. Congratulations. We will get you a $25 gift card. If you see this, send us an email, Gudrun@gquiltdesigns.com, or send us a message through Facebook, and we will get it to you right away. Of course, everything on the website, gquiltdesigns.com. And we will finish this off with a question for another chance for everybody to win another $25 gift card. So, of course, just put your answer in the comments, and that automatically enters you. We will draw a winner and announce it next week. Here's your question. Do you have a favorite background fabric? I thought it was quite funny that somebody just asked me that. So I've already given you my answer. Mr. Honey Producer, do you have a favorite background fabric?
something minky.
Oh, minky. That's not really background. That's backing fabric. Oh, yeah, that's different. He likes something soft.
I use it for both.
Yeah. Do you have a favorite background color? Nope. Okay. We'll have to train him a little better. Anyways, our next Tipsy Tuesday show will be next week, October 6th. It's already going to be October. And so I will look forward to seeing you then. But of course, if you want to catch us this coming Friday, we have our Happy Friday show at 3 p.m., of course, with a cocktail in hand. Maybe a little more insight on our new space as we are in the process of moving. So make sure you check us out. We'll be live both on Facebook and YouTube. But that is it for us tonight. Thank you all for a great show. I will see you next time.